One day, this will all end. And I don't mean that as a figure of speech. I mean it literally. There will be a last time you wake up. A last time you speak. A last moment when your mind tries and fails to hold on. And almost everything in daily life is designed to keep us distracted from that fact. The routine, the noise, the scrolling, and the rushing. It's all part of the mind's way of saying, "Not now, don't think about it." But when you finally stop avoiding this reality, when you allow it to exist in the room with you, you don't fall apart. You wake up. And suddenly, the things that matter become obvious. The noise fades. Life becomes painfully, beautifully clear. So for a moment, let's stop avoiding the truth we all share. Let's look at it straight. Life is uncertain. And seeing that clearly might actually help you feel calmer and more steady. But you're still standing at a distance. You've accepted that death exists. But what is it? What actually stops? Everything that forms will one day unform. Everything that comes together will one day drift apart. Life is simply what happens in between. The brief moment where order holds long enough for awareness to appear. And if we're going to talk honestly about death, we have to begin here with the simple, difficult truth that life exists only because it temporarily resists the natural tendency of the universe to fall apart. When you look closely at a living body, it's a non-stop motion of coordination. Second by second, the whole system holds itself together. Cells repair themselves. Proteins fold and refold. Chemical reactions fire in perfect timing. Your heart beats. Your lungs expand. Your brain sends signals in patterns so delicate that a single error can ripple outward and disrupt the entire system. This way of looking at life comes from a physicist named Erwin Schrödinger, one of the founders of quantum theory. He asked a simple question: what is life in the language of physics? He saw that everything in the universe naturally slips toward disorder. Heat spreads, structures loosen, randomness increases. But living things refuse that drift. A cell takes in energy to repair what time erodes. A body organizes itself, correcting tiny errors before they grow. Every heartbeat, every breath, every thought is part of this continuous maintenance. Life is not a thing you have. Life is something your body does. Moment after moment, holding itself together against the current of entropy. And eventually, inevitably, that resistance grows harder to sustain. The body can no longer take in enough energy to repair itself as fast as it falls apart. Errors accumulate, cells slow. Systems lose coordination. This isn't failure or malfunction, it's physics. In the entire universe, no structure stays ordered forever. Stars burn through their fuel. Mountains erode grain by grain. Galaxies stretch apart over billions of years. Your cells follow the same law. They can resist disorder for a time, but not indefinitely. Death is not the breaking of the rules of life. It is the moment the rules have run their natural course. And once you understand this, once you see life as a temporary act of holding things together, a deeper question emerges. What exactly falls apart when we die? The actual machinery. Your body, right now, is coordinating thousands of processes to stay alive. Watch what happens when that coordination breaks. One simple way to understand this is to picture the body as a large, complex city. In this city, each cell is like a small building with its own job. Electrical signals act like communication lines. The bloodstream works like a transport network, delivering oxygen and nutrients. Organs function as major districts, each responsible for a specific group of tasks. As long as the city has enough resources and coordination, it continues operating. But over time, with age, illness, or injury, the city becomes harder to maintain. Some buildings no longer repair themselves as quickly. Communication between districts becomes less precise. Energy supplies fluctuate, traffic slows. The city keeps going, but it starts to feel strained. Eventually, it hits a hard limit. Keeping everything coordinated takes more energy than the body can deliver. When that happens, the big systems start to slip. Blood flow weakens, oxygen drops, signals misfire, and organs stop backing each other up. The city begins to shut down. Districts dim one by one. Essential functions stop coordinating. The overall network collapses. Even after the heart stops, some cells continue functioning for a short time. But they can no longer sustain themselves without the larger system. Gradually, they lose order and stop operating. From biology's point of view, death is when the body can no longer keep itself organized. Things begin, change, and end. That's the rhythm of nature. And yet, the mind pushes back. Even when we understand the biology, part of us still reacts as if this rule shouldn't apply. As if the one doing the noticing, the me in the middle of experience, should be spared. Because death isn't just a biological event. It's a collision between what the universe does and what a conscious mind can't easily accept. Philosopher Ernest Becker believed humans live with a fundamental conflict: limitless imagination in a limited body. We can dream of forever, but we won't get there. We can picture the world without us, and that picture terrifies us. That tension shapes almost everything we do. Because our fear of death doesn't come from biology. It comes from awareness. Humans are the only species that lives with a detailed understanding of its own mortality. We can project ourselves into the future. We can imagine loss long before it happens. We can picture the world continuing without us. This ability is a remarkable strength, but it comes with a cost. We also carry the burden of knowing we will end. To manage this tension, the mind protects us in subtle ways. We create routines, we build identities, we focus on tasks, goals, relationships. We immerse ourselves in daily life so deeply that the awareness of mortality stays in the background. It's a survival mechanism. It keeps the thought of death from flooding everything. Modern psychology, particularly terror management theory, suggests that when people are reminded of death, even in small unconscious ways, they instinctively try to stabilize themselves. They cling more tightly to their beliefs, they defend their values, they protect their family and community, they try to feel part of something larger than their own lifespan. In other words, the fear of death pushes us to seek meaning, to feel rooted, to feel that our existence matters. So the fear itself is not the problem. It's part of how we navigate the world. But we don't only fear the end of our own life. We fear losing the people who shape our world. We fear the collapse of the relationships that give us identity, stability, and direction. Death feels personal because it threatens the parts of you that exist through other people. And when you follow that logic to its end, you realize the fear isn't mainly about you dying. It's about losing the people who hold your world in place. And that impact is the core of grief. Grief is one of the most difficult human experiences. It is also one of the most universal. Every culture has rituals for it, and every person encounters it in some form. To understand grief, psychologists focus on attachment. Human beings do not experience relationships only externally. We build internal models of the people who matter to us. Their voice, their reactions, their habits, and their presence all become part of our internal world. When someone dies, the external person is gone. But the internal model remains active for a period of time. This creates a mismatch. The mind expects the person to still be available, while reality no longer matches that expectation. This contradiction produces the experience we call grief. It involves sadness, disbelief, anger, confusion, and longing. Not because the emotions are irrational, but because the brain is trying to update an internal model that was built over years of repeated interaction. Grief can also involve a disruption of identity. We often define ourselves in relation to others, as a parent, a partner, a friend, a child. When a relationship ends, the roles and routines built around that person must be reorganized. This reorganization takes time. Grief is not a linear process. It does not move in predictable stages. Instead, it appears in waves, influenced by reminders and memories. Some days feel stable, others feel unexpectedly difficult. This variability is normal. Over time, the internal model of the person is updated. The connection does not disappear, but it changes form. Psychologists call this continuing bonds. The idea that relationships do not end at death, but shift from physical interaction to memory, influence, and meaning. Grief is not a malfunction. It is an adaptive response to a significant change in a person's social environment. Yet there's a question grief brings that psychology cannot answer. When someone dies, we understand what happens to their body. But what about the person themselves? The one who woke up each morning, who saw the world in their own particular way, who spent decades thinking, feeling, remembering. Where is that now? An ancient Greek philosopher named Epicurus spent a lot of time thinking about fear, especially the fear of death. He believed death wasn't something to fear because when death arrives, we are not there to experience it. His reasoning was simple. While you are alive, death has not yet happened. When death happens, you no longer exist. So the person who dies encounters nothing at all. No darkness, no awareness, no experience of any kind. All the pain of death belongs to the living, not the dead. If Epicurus is right, then when the brain stops, consciousness simply ends, like turning off a light. But is that true? Is that really what happens? Does death mark the absolute end of consciousness? Or is there something about awareness itself, something we haven't fully understood, that continues in a form we can't yet measure? The truth is, we don't even understand consciousness when we're alive. We know where consciousness correlates with brain activity. We can watch neurons fire when you think, when you remember, when you feel emotion. But we don't know why those neurons firing creates the subjective experience of being you. Why does electrical activity produce the sensation of tasting coffee, the feeling of love, the raw fact of existing as a self? Some believe consciousness emerges from the brain's complexity. Enough connections, enough integration, and awareness appears. Others propose consciousness might be more fundamental, not produced by the brain, but channeled through it, like a radio receiving a signal rather than generating it. If that's true, then when the brain stops during cardiac arrest, the receiver goes offline. But consciousness itself might continue. Around 20% of cardiac arrest survivors describe being conscious while they were clinically dead. Not confused fragments, clear, structured awareness. Some report leaving their body, watching their own resuscitation from above. Others describe moving through darkness toward light. Many experience a life review, every moment of their existence seen and felt instantaneously. Some encounter relatives they knew had died. Some even describe specific details they shouldn't have been able to know, conversations in the room they couldn't have heard, medical procedures they couldn't have seen, even relatives whose death they didn't know about, later confirmed to have died. People from every culture, atheists and believers, children and adults, even people born blind report visual experiences during cardiac arrest. And they don't describe these as dreams. They describe them as more real than normal reality, the most vivid, profound experiences of their lives. Many return transformed, their fear of death dissolved. So what's happening here? The standard explanation: hallucinations, a dying brain, oxygen deprivation, neurochemical surges, the mind creating comforting narratives as it shuts down. But there is a problem with that explanation. Why do these experiences look so similar across cultures? Why do people describe them as feeling more real than real? And how do some accurately report verifiable events that happened while their brain was flatlined? What we do know: consciousness depends on brain activity. Stop the brain, consciousness appears to cease. But dependence is not identity. A radio depends on circuitry to play music, but doesn't create the broadcast. Smash the radio, the music stops, but the signal continues, unheard. Could consciousness work similarly? Not a ghost in the machine, but something the brain receives and shapes rather than generates? This idea isn't new. In Vedanta, ancient Indian philosophy, consciousness works like a wave on an ocean. The wave rises, it has shape, movement, its own brief moment, but it was never separate from the water. When the wave collapses, the water doesn't disappear, only the form changes. Your story as an individual ends at death. But the awareness that made the story possible, that was never yours to begin with. So, where does this leave us? Either consciousness is entirely dependent on the brain, and death truly is the end of all subjective experience. Or consciousness is something deeper, something fundamental to the universe, and individual lives are temporary expressions of it. Science hasn't given us a final answer, and we may never get one that satisfies everyone. If awareness depends entirely on the brain, then death is the end of experience like Epicurus described. If it doesn't, then death might not be a hard stop. It could be a boundary we don't fully understand. It may be a transformation, a return to something larger. Or it may be exactly what the materialists say: nothing at all. Whether consciousness continues or ends, whether Epicurus was right or the mystics were right, one fact remains. You are here now, alive, aware, with choices still to make. And maybe that's what Epicurus was pointing toward all along. Not that death doesn't matter, But that fearing what we cannot experience robs us of the life we actually have. While we've been exploring what might happen to consciousness after death, something else has been unfolding in the observable world. When a person dies, several things persist. The atoms that made their body don't disappear, they return. The carbon in your breath was once part of a tree. The iron in your blood was forged in a star billions of years ago. The water in your cells has moved through rivers, clouds, oceans, countless living things. You're not separate from the world. You're temporarily organized pieces of it. When that organization ends, those pieces return. Memory persists too, but not in some abstract realm. In the minds of others, a teacher dies. Their lessons continue in students who never forget that one conversation. A parent dies. The love they gave shapes how their children love their own families. A friend dies, but the laughter shared left an imprint on everyone who heard it. Influence ripples forward. Every choice, every word, every moment you showed up or turned away, all of it moves through time, shaping lives you'll never see. Sometimes for years, sometimes for generations. And consciousness? That question stays open. But the uncertainty doesn't paralyze us. It brings us back to the only place we can actually stand, here, now, alive. Because death works as a mirror when we stop running from it. When people truly confront their mortality, not in panic, but in honest reflection, they see their life more clearly. The things they've been avoiding, the goals they've postponed, the relationships they've neglected. Most of us move through life on autopilot, doing what others do, following social scripts, avoiding difficult questions. But recognizing your own mortality breaks the autopilot. You stop drifting. You start asking, what actually matters to me? What am I avoiding? What do I want my time to mean? This is what the philosophers were pointing toward, not answers about what happens after death, but clarity about how to live before it. Epicurus would say, stop torturing yourself with a future you'll never feel. Death has a way of waking you up. It reminds you that time isn't unlimited, and that changes how you live. A conversation with no ending has no weight. A story that never concludes never resolves. A life that went on forever would lose its urgency, its preciousness, its shape. The boundary is what gives every moment inside it meaning. When you fully accept that your time is limited, you stop assuming endless chances to act, to speak, to repair, to change. Mortality asks, what matters to you? What are you avoiding? What do you want your time to express? These aren't abstract questions, they're practical. Because whether consciousness continues or not, this version of you, the one living this particular life, will one day no longer be here. And before that day comes, you have choices to make. About how you treat people, about what gets your attention, about whether you live with intention or just drift. You're here now, alive, aware. If you get something out of these episodes, you can support my work by becoming a channel member. That includes uninterrupted viewing and bonus content. Tap the join button below to support. Now, let's reflect on some of the ideas we explored in this episode. Life is not a thing you have. Life is something your body does. Everything that forms will one day unform. Death is not the breaking of the rules of life. It is the moment the rules have run their course. We don't fear death because of biology. We fear it because we are aware. Grief is love meeting a new reality. When people truly confront their mortality, they see their life more clearly. You're not separate from the world. You're temporarily organized pieces of it. Death has a way of waking you up. You're here now. So what exactly is the thing that's aware of all this? And are you ever really inside your body to begin with? Find out in this video.